Jaipur.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. This is Deepika, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Putin says Russia wants lasting peace in Ukraine, appreciates Prime Minister Modi's concern over Ukraine crisis. Russia and Ukraine each exchanged 95 prisoners of war, swap brokered by United Arab Emirates. US President Joe Biden wraps up his Germany visit, says a ceasefire in Lebanon is possible, ending Gaza conflict difficult. US budget deficit widens to $1.8 trillion, which is the third highest on record. And in sports, India stages strong fight back against New Zealand in Bengaluru Test. In hockey, India all set to take on Japan in Sultan of Johor Cup in Malaysia. A very good morning to all our viewers. Let's begin with the top news of the day. Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed gratitude to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his concern over the Ukraine conflict and efforts towards paving a solution. Prime Minister Modi has underlined the importance of dialogue and diplomacy, as well as sincere and practical engagement between all stakeholders to achieve an abiding and peaceful resolution of the conflict. Russia and Ukraine have been engaged in conflict since February 2022. In an interaction with senior journalists from BRICS countries, President Putin said Russia is interested to conclude Ukraine crisis by peaceful means.
We are thinking about our own military, our own servicemen and our own equipment, and when we spare a thought for our people, we think about how to provide peace and peace by peaceful means inter alia. This is the difference. Our mediation is wanted. We will gladly work with the colleagues. Same refers to our friends. In particular, I mean the Prime Minister Modi. While talking with His Excellency over the phone, each time he raises this matter and expresses his considerations, and we are grateful to him for that.
President Vladimir Putin echoed Prime Minister Narendra Modi's stance on BRICS, emphasizing that the grouping is not anti-Western but rather non-Western ahead of the group summit in October. Well, Russia is hosting the upcoming BRICS summit in Kazan from 22nd till 24th of October for the 16th BRICS summit. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Russia to attend the edition of BRICS at the invitation of President Putin. Russia and Ukraine carried out a new exchange of prisoners of war on Friday, each side bringing home 95 prisoners in an agreement in which the United Arab Emirates acted as a mediator. Russia's defense ministry said the returning Russian service members were undergoing medical checks in Belarus. A Russian military video also showed smiling soldiers boarding the buses. A video showed some men wrapped in the blue and yellow Ukrainian flag getting off a bus well after dark and being embraced by loved ones. Ukrainian Parliament's Commissioner for Human Rights, Dmytro Lubinets, said a total of 3,767 prisoners had returned home till now. The last known prisoner swap involving 103 prisoners from each side took place in the month of September. Now, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said he had asked the Defense Ministry to work on proposals for possible weapon exports on Friday. He added that he expected White House team to visit Ukraine soon with feedback on the victory plan presented to the Western leaders earlier.
As for the feedback, I am waiting for the White House team in Ukraine. We are waiting and they will be here in the nearest future and they will bring some answers. 2 days ago, I had a conversation with the President of the United States of America. We received a package of $500 million We also agreed that we will regularly receive packages once every 2-3 weeks, and it will strengthen our army.
South Korea's spy agency said that North Korea has dispatched 1,500 special forces troops to Russia for combat training, raising an alarm over their potential deployment in Ukraine. Now, this move follows North Korea's constitutional revisions, branding South Korea as a hostile state. Amid escalating hostilities, North Korea has also destroyed inter-Korean transport links, intensifying concerns among residents near the border.
South Korea's spy agency said on Friday that North Korea has shipped 1,500 special forces troops to Russia's Far East for training and acclimatizing at local military bases and will likely be deployed for combat in the war in Ukraine. South Korea's National Intelligence Service also released satellite images to show military facilities in Russia where North Korean personnel were gathered. North Korea's recent constitutional revisions classifying South Korea as a hostile state has heightened tensions in the Korean peninsula. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un urged his military to regard South Korea as an enemy and warned that the North would not hesitate to retaliate if its sovereignty were threatened. Analysts say North's constitutional amendment essentially serves as leader Kim Jong-un's survival strategy.
I believe that North Korea's strategic goal of moving towards two hostile states is essentially Kim Jong-un's survival strategy. In other words, Kim Jong-un is saying, let's build a wall between the two Koreas so we are not conscious of each other and each of us can survive on our own.
Recently, North Korea blew up sanctions of inter-Korean roads and rail lines on its side of the heavily fortified border between the two Koreas. South Koreans living in Paju province, which borders North Korea, raise concerns about Pyongyang blowing up sections of the key inter-Korean roads and railways.
At that time, I thought it was just a show from North Korea. After that, I thought they would be trying to extort money. Then later, after thinking about it more and seeing them blowing road and railroad, I became concerned.
In another development, Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru met with the families of Japanese nationals abducted by North Korea and said he will make all-out efforts to quickly bring them home. It was the first such meeting since Ishiba became Prime Minister, taking place on Thursday at the Prime Minister's office in Tokyo. Rabindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
Israel continued its military operation in Lebanon against the Hezbollah, while rockets were fired towards Israel from Lebanon's small town of Marioyon. Earlier on Friday, Hezbollah announced that it was moving to a new and escalating phase in its conflict with Israel after the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Meanwhile, Israel intensified its operation in North Gaza's Jabalia camp, targeting Hamas. The military has carried out extensive military operations in Jabalia for about 2 weeks, with it claiming to be dismantling Hamas infrastructure in the area to stop the Hamas group from regrouping. Now, Hamas vowed on Friday that it would not release the hostages seized during its 7th of October attack on Israel until the Gaza conflict ends, as it mourned the death of its leader Yahya Sinwar. The killing of Sinwar, the mastermind of the deadliest attack in Israel's history, had raised hopes of a turning point in the conflict, including for families of the Israeli hostages and Gazans enduring a dire humanitarian crisis. However, as Qatar-based Hamas official Khalil al-Haya mourned Sinwar in a video statement on Friday, he reiterated the group's position that no hostages would be released. US President Joe Biden said on Friday there is a possibility of working towards a ceasefire in Lebanon, but it will be harder in Gaza. Speaking to the reporters in Berlin, where he met with the leaders of Germany, France and the United Kingdom, Biden assessed the efforts to end the multi-arena conflict in the West Asia. Biden also told the reporters that he has an understanding of how and when Israel will respond to the missile attacks by Iran. However, he declined to elaborate.
There's an opportunity to in my view, and my colleagues agree, that we can probably deal with Israel and Iran in a way that ends the conflict for a while. It ends the conflict. In other words, it stops the back and forth. We think that there's a possibility of working for a ceasefire in Lebanon, and it's going to be harder in Gaza, but we agree that there has to be an outcome. What happens the day after?
As U.S. presidential election nears, Democrat Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump battled through the battleground state on Michigan on Friday. Presidential candidates Donald Trump and Kamala Harris exchanged sharp criticisms over each other's ability to lead the country during visits to Michigan. Both argued that their opponent was unfit to represent the United States, whereas the opinion polls showed that the U.S. presidential candidates are essentially tied in Michigan just 18 days before the 5th of November election. Now, at a rally in Grand Rapids, Democratic candidate Harris mocked Trump for avoiding debates and canceling interviews, citing his campaign's claim that he's exhausted.
You know, I've been hearing reports that his team at least is saying he's suffering from exhaustion. And that's apparently the excuse for why he's not doing interviews. And of course, he's not doing the CNN town hall. He refuses to do another debate. And, you know, look, being president of the United States is probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. And so we really do need to ask if he's exhausted being on the campaign trail. Is he fit to do the job? And I think that's a question that is an open-ended question that he needs to answer.
Meanwhile, at Detroit Airport, Republican candidate Donald Trump fired back, calling Harris not a smart person and insisting that she's unfit to represent the nation.
Tell me when you've seen me take even a little bit of a risk. Not only am I'm not even tired. I'm really exhilarated. You know why? We're killing her in the polls because the American people don't want her. She didn't pass her bar exam. She's not a smart person. She's not a person that should represent our country. So I just want to let you know that very clearly. Go ahead.
The fierce battleground of Michigan turns emotional for Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris on Friday as her supporters sang Happy Birthday at a rally in Oakland County. Harris put her hand on her chest as the crowd kicked off the surprise serenade just a few moments after she arrived on the stage. The vice president will turn 60 on Sunday. Now, the budget deficit in the USA has created new political waves ahead of the presidential election as it has reached the highest after COVID era and third highest in US's history. The United States on Friday reported a budget deficit of $1.8 trillion for the past year, widening from 2023's level on greater spending, including for interest on the public debt. The Treasury Department also said that the nation's debt remains a key concern for the voters ahead of November's presidential election. The rise in receipts for the latest fiscal year was mainly due to increases in the amount of individual and corporate income tax collected, among other areas. However, announcing the latest budget results, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen stressed that the U.S. economy remained resilient in 2024. Experts are expecting the poll promises by both Republican and Democratic rivals may further increase budget losses. And now let's take a look at other stories from around the world. Cuba's national grid fails, plunging the entire country into a blackout. The government has also shut down schools and non-essential industry in a bid to conserve energy. Officials did not say what had caused the plant to fail and are uncertain about how long it would take to re-establish the services. Kenyan's activists criticized Kithure Kindiki's deputy president appointment on Friday. Human rights activists expressed dismay over Kindiki's nomination, linking him to the death of over 60 people during demonstrations against tax hikes and the cost of living earlier this year. They planted trees to honor those killed and called for accountability. And Peruvian devotees paid homage to Lord of the Miracles during a procession in Lima on Friday. The popular procession is a tradition dating back 1687, when a mural depicting the same image of Jesus escaped unscathed in a powerful earthquake, brought faithful outside Las Nazarenas Church to praise the Lord of miracles and ask him for kindness. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says cooperation between India and Mexico can be potentially broad-based and multi-sectoral. Sri Lanka India Society organized an event to mark 78th year of India's independence in Colombo. And New Zealand all set to face South Africa in Women's T20 Cricket World Cup Super Finale. Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching DD India Live. Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate National Learning Week, the Karma Yogi Saptah, today. The initiative aims at enhancing the skills of civil servants nationwide. The National Learning Week focuses on fostering individual and organizational development within the civil service and promote lifelong learning. Civil servants will dedicate at least 4 hours to competency-linked learning through online modules, webinars and public lectures. India's Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman participated in the India-Mexico Trade and Investment Summit on enhancing trade and investment collaboration in the Mexico City. Addressing the summit, the minister said that cooperation between India and Mexico can be potentially broad-based and multi-sectoral, highlighting that India offers tremendous opportunities for growth and investment, especially in the pharmaceutical, manufacturing and automotive sectors. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also underlined India's emergence as a global leader in digital economy with adoption rate of 87% in the fintech sector. She noted that initiatives like UPI with Mexico's growing digital ecosystem can provide a fertile ground for cross-border collaborations and innovation in fintech and digital payments. In Colombo, Sri Lanka's Indian Society organized an event to mark the 78th year of India's independence in Colombo. Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka, Vijitha Herath, took part in the event and said that trade dynamics between India and Sri Lanka have immense potential in the future. He also recalled the generous assistance extended by India during the economic crisis. On the occasion, Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, said that bilateral relations between the two countries have progressed to a point where it is not possible to think of living apart.
We recall the tremendous support extended by India following Sri Lanka's recent economic crisis and the support extended for our debt restructuring arrangement with the IMF. The trade dynamics between India and Sri Lanka have immense potential. India is one of Sri Lanka's largest trading partner, providing essential imports that support various sectors, including agriculture, health, and infrastructure.
In Bangladesh, some 4.17 crore people are living in extreme poverty, with 6.5% of the population facing severely dire conditions, according to a latest report by the United Nations. The report, titled Global Multidimensional Poverty Index 2024 Poverty Amid Conflict, was published jointly by the United Nations Development Programme and the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative of the Oxford University on Thursday. This report paints a grim picture of Bangladesh's poverty crisis. The report also identifies poor living standards as the largest contributor to Bangladesh's poverty rate, accounting for 45.1% of the poverty index. Education and health factors also play significant roles, contributing 37.6% and 17.3% respectively. This latest report calls attention to the urgent need for targeted interventions to address the root causes of poverty and improve living conditions for millions in Bangladesh and beyond. The 5th edition of Riyadh season is underway in the Saudi Arabian capital since the 12th of October. Events under it are being organized all across Riyadh. Swedi Park in Riyadh is one such venue that takes you on a journey around the world through their cultures, music, dances, traditional foods and other attractions. DD India's Munmun Bhattacharya reports from Riyadh.
A riveting performance by an Indian dance troupe enthralling visitors at Swedi Park in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. Visitors can be seen enjoying Bollywood numbers and Indian folk dances and watching Indian singing and dancing talent perform. Indian cuisine and culinary delights such as this stall of Indian Hyderabadi cuisine are drawing in visitors too. Under Riyadh season 2024, the spotlight is on India at the Swedi Park for a little over a week this October. Riyadh season was introduced in 2019 by Saudi authorities in support of Saudi Vision 2030. Since then, under its umbrella, a series of entertainment, cultural and sporting events are held in Riyadh for 5 months, from October to March every year. Indian Ambassador to Riyadh, Dr. Suhail Khan, took a tour of the park and witnessed the events firsthand.
This is a very important initiative which strengthens the bonds between the Indian communities, the other expatriate communities in the kingdom and the Saudi society. We welcome this initiative. We are very excited to see a huge crowd of our Indian community and the Saudi friends come here and enjoy the Indian culture.
Members of the Indian diaspora in Saudi Arabia were among the visitors at the park.
We have a lot of population of Indians here, and it's really encouraging that they are also recognizing our culture and trying to spread it to the Saudi people as well.
Very happy in this society. I feel very secure, and our cultural also they are giving so much recognition to our cultural activities.
Other than India, Swedi Park has a sprinkling of cuisines, cultures, concerts and entertainment events from other countries too, such as the Philippines, Indonesia, Pakistan, Yemen, Sudan, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Bangladesh and Egypt. All in all, Swedi Park has become a hub of global entertainment and cross-cultural connect between Saudi nationals and expatriate communities.
For 9 days in October this year, the flavor of Riyadh season at Swedi Park in southern Riyadh is India. The idea is to showcase the intermingling and bonhomie between the Indian and Saudi society and bring the people of both the countries closer. With cameraman Pramod Negi, this is Munmun Bhattacharya from Riyadh for DD India.
And now let's get you all the sporting action. Well, India staged a strong fight back against New Zealand in the Bengaluru test on day 3 after being bowled out for just 46 in the first innings. In a dramatic climax, star batter Virat Kohli was dismissed on the final ball of play by Glenn Phillips. Kohli smashed his 31st test century before completing 9,000 test runs. Sarfaraz Khan was unbeaten on 70 and added 136 runs with Virat Kohli for the third wicket before his unfortunate dismissal. India is trailing New Zealand by 125 runs with 2 days of play left. Earlier, Rachin Ravindra's powerful knock propelled New Zealand to 402 on day 3 of the Test series. Tim Southee also added a quick 65 runs to add salt to the wounds and help New Zealand put 402. In women's cricket, New Zealand defeated the West Indies by 8 runs in their Women's T20 Cricket World Cup semi-final fixture in Sharjah on Friday. The White Ferns will play the final on Sunday against South Africa, who had earlier defeated Australia in the first semi-final. Chasing 129, West Indies were restricted to 120 for a loss of 8 wickets by New Zealand in Sharjah. Earlier, Doughton took 4 for 22 as the West Indies kept New Zealand to 128 for a loss of 9 wickets in 20 overs. After winning the toss and batting, opener Susie Bates and Georgia Plummer top scored for New Zealand, who struggled against some tight bowling. And talking about hockey, India's junior men's hockey team is all set to begin their 12th Sultan of Johor Cup campaign in Johor, Malaysia, starting from Saturday. The hockey tournament will be held from the 19th till the 26th of October. This also marks the beginning of Sultan of Johor Cup, where India will face off against Japan in their opening match on Saturday. Later on, India will take on host Malaysia, Great Britain, Australia and New Zealand and will hope to make it to the final, which is scheduled to be played on the 26th of October. In Malaysia, the team is competing under the leadership of the new head coach PR Srijesh, who has assigned Amir Ali as the captain and Rohit as the vice captain. And before we let you go, here's an amazing visual where hit musical The Lion King is celebrating its 25th anniversary in London's West End this week. The celebration will include a special gala performance on Sunday after first opening its doors at the theatre on the 19th of October 1999. Meanwhile, new spin-off film Mufasa The Lion King is due to be released in December. Take a look. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.